I'm Emily Reyes.
28. A freelance video editor scraping by in the dusty outskirts of Tucson, Arizona, where the sun beats down on red rock canyons and everyone knows your business before you do. My folks always figured I'd follow the straight and narrow like my brother. But I chased stories instead, piecing together raw footage that captured life's messy truths. They called it fool's gold, a waste of time in a town where ranching and steady jobs built legacies. I thought I could change their minds with a heartfelt project for Grandma's milestone birthday. But their cold shoulders turned into something sharper, forcing me to confront the fractures I'd ignored for years. Growing up in our sprawling ranch home on the edge of Tucson, family barbecues under the mesquite trees were supposed to be about togetherness, but they always left me feeling like the stray dog at the gate.
My dad.
Robert Hayes ran a small cattle operation, his calloused hands a symbol of the hard work he preached, while Mom, Linda Hayes, taught at the local high school, drilling discipline into kids like it was gospel. They pinned all their hopes on my older brother, David Hayes, a hotshot attorney in Phoenix with his picture-perfect wife, Karen, and their rambunctious 5-year-old, little Jake.
Me?
I was the dreamer, editing clips on my beat-up laptop while they toasted David's courtroom victories over grilled steaks. I remember one barbecue vividly, the smoke curling up as Dad slapped David on the back, booming, "That's my boy," closing deals that keep the family name strong. His eyes slid to me, and he added, "Emily, when are you going to trade those videos for something real? Like helping out on the ranch?" Mom chimed in, her voice like a whip crack. "We've got roots here, honey. David's building on them. You're just floating."
Inside.
I seethed, my fork twisting in my hand as I bit back words. Why couldn't they see that my videos weren't just hobbies? They were my way of making sense of the world, capturing the quiet struggles folks faced in these wide-open spaces. David barely noticed, too busy recounting his latest win, while Karen kept Jake entertained with stories of city life. The pressure built like a summer storm, every gathering a reminder that I didn't measure up. But there were glimmers of light. Grandma Evelyn Moore, a retired school librarian who'd seen the Dust Bowl days, pulled me aside once, her wrinkled hand on mine. "Your eye for stories, Emily, that's a gift from the land itself." Our neighbor, Martha Jenkins, who'd swapped recipes with Mom for decades, shot me knowing smiles across the table. And my cousin, Tyler Brooks, kept things neutral, his easy drawl offering a buffer without picking sides. Their quiet nods fueled me, clashing with the constant erosion from my parents. I told myself it was just their way, shaped by the harsh Arizona sun and the fear of losing what little we had. But deep down, I wondered if I'd ever be enough, or if I'd always be the shadow in David's golden light. That doubt gnawed at me, turning every family call into a battlefield in my mind. "Why chase mirages?" Mom would say, her tone laced with disappointment that hit harder than any desert wind. Dad's silences were worse, heavy with unspoken judgment. I replayed those moments at night, questioning if my passion was worth the isolation. Yet, Grandma's belief sparked a fire. I had to prove my path wasn't a dead end. It wasn't revenge. Not yet. It was survival. A desperate grasp at self-worth in a family that valued fences over free spirits. A few months before Grandma Evelyn's 80th, I threw myself into a video tribute, hoping it'd bridge the chasm. I scoured old photo albums from the ranch attic, dusty relics of rodeos and family harvests, and interviewed folks who'd shaped our story. Grandma sat on her porch swing, her voice steady as she recounted crossing the borderlands in her youth, building a life from nothing. Martha shared tales of community potlucks, her laughter warm like fresh tortillas. Tyler chipped in with memories of summer cattle drives, his words sparse but genuine. I begged David to contribute, but he waved me off, buried in case files. Karen and Jake stayed on the sidelines, their urban polish a world away from my gritty edits. Nights blurred as I hunched over my screen in the dim glow of my room, splicing clips with a haunting acoustic guitar track that echoed the vastness of the Southwest. Every cut felt personal, a stitch in the fabric of who we were. But when I mentioned it to my parents over coffee, Dad grunted. Sounds like busy work, and Mom pivoted to David's promotion. Their indifference twisted like a knife. Did they even care? Grandma's excited calls kept me going. Make it sing. Emily. Like the coyotes at dusk. Martha's texts buzzed with encouragement, and Tyler's occasional sounds good was a quiet vote of confidence. As the birthday neared, anxiety coiled in my gut. What if this video, 25 minutes of our raw history, still fell flat?
Obsessed over transitions.
Fonds. The fade-outs that mirrored life's uncertainties. It wasn't just for Grandma. It was my plea for recognition. Doubts whispered, "You're fooling yourself, they'll never see you." But I pushed on, saving the final version with trembling hands. This was my stand, a declaration that my creativity wasn't dust in the wind. The day of the party, our ranch yard buzzed with neighbors under string lights, the scent of barbecue mingling with desert sage. Grandma Evelyn beamed from her rocking chair, surrounded by laughter. I set up the projector on a makeshift screen, heart slamming like a stampede. "This is for you, Grandma, our family saga," I announced, dimming the lights. The video rolled, Grandma's tales of frontier grit, Martha's vivid recollections, Tyler's understated charm. The crowd leaned in, murmurs of recognition rippling through. Grandma's eyes shimmered, her hand clasping mine. "Pure magic," she whispered. Martha hooped. "That's our history." "Alive." Tyler nodded, a rare grin cracking his face. For a heartbeat, I soared. Maybe this was it. Then I saw my parents, Dad staring at his boots, Mom glancing at David, who fiddled with his phone. Karen hushed Jake, but their disinterest stung like cactus spines. Applause erupted as it ended, but Mom approached later. Voice clipped. "Cute side project. But it won't put food on the table." Dad added, "David's work builds futures. Yours is just entertainment." The words landed heavy, draining the joy. Grandma squeezed my arm. Fierce. "Don't you dare dim that light." Martha pulled me aside. "They're blind to your talent." Tyler hovered, silent but present. The party droned on, but inside, a storm brewed. Their rejection wasn't new, but it crystallized something I couldn't keep pretending. Later, in the quiet of the ranch office, I confronted them, phone in pocket. "That video was me. Why can't you see its value?" Mom rolled her eyes. "Because it's not practical." "Emily." "David's got security." Dad sighed. "We wanted more for you than chasing shadows." The barbs flew, disappointment, wasted potential, endless comparisons to David. Instinct hit. I discreetly started recording, knowing Arizona's one-party consent laws meant I could capture this without their nod. It wasn't malice, just a need to hold onto the truth amid the pain. Their voices sharpened. "You're letting us down, just like always." My chest ached, but the phone rolled on, a silent ally. I left numb, the recording a weighty secret. Why did their approval still matter? Grandma's pride, Martha's fire, they saw me. But this hurt ran deep, pushing me toward a reckoning I hadn't planned.
I'm Emily Hayes.
And that recording became my ghost, haunting quiet nights in my Tucson apartment where the desert winds whispered doubts through cracked windows. Replaying it alone, my parents' voices echoed like thunder over the canyons. "You're a letdown. Emily, David's the one carrying the family torch." Mom's tone dripped disdain, calling my work frivolous nonsense, while Dad hammered the nail. "We regret pushing you toward dreams that go nowhere." Each word reopened wounds I'd bandaged with hope, turning self-doubt into a raging fire. Was I really the failure they painted? Or were they blind to their own shadows? I paced the room, heart pounding, questioning everything. Years of barbecues where Dad's praise for David's legal eagles left me invisible. Mom's jabs at my unstable gig chipping away at my resolve. The video for Grandma had been my olive branch, but their dismissal scorched it to ash.
Inside,
Conflicting storms raged. Part of me craved their validation, a nod that my stories mattered in this rugged land. Another part screamed for release from their yoke. Grandma Evelyn's belief in me, "You're weaving our spirit, child," clashed with their venom, leaving me torn. Martha's fierce loyalty, Tyler's steady presence, they were lifelines. But this pain was mine to wrestle. The recording wasn't just audio, it was evidence of a deeper fracture. Legal in Arizona's eyes, but morally murky. I backed it up obsessively, fingers trembling, imagining the fallout if I shared it. Would Grandma's heartbreak hearing her son's cruelty? Would Martha rally the neighbors? Turning whispers into judgment? Tyler might finally speak up, his neutrality cracking. David, Karen, Jake, they'd be collateral in this family quake. Doubt Claude, was exposing them revenge or justice? I replayed scenarios, my mind a whirlwind of what-ifs. Their words branded me burden, but holding this secret felt like carrying their sins. Sleep evaded me, replaced by inner monologues that twisted like tumbleweeds. "You've let them define you too long," I told myself, staring at the ceiling. But what if this shatters everything irreparably? The pull toward confrontation grew, fueled by years of swallowed pride. No more hiding behind polite smiles at gatherings. This was about reclaiming my narrative, not in videos, but in real life. Grandma's stories had taught me resilience. Now I'd embody it. Yet, humanity tugged. Were my parents villains, or products of their own harsh upbringings in the West's unforgiving terrain? The next family brunch, at the ranch, eggs sizzling and coffee brewing, I felt the weight of decision like a loaded revolver. The air hummed with casual talk, David boasting about a big case, Karen chasing Jake around the yard. Grandma Evelyn shared old tales. Martha dished gossip. Tyler observed quietly. My parents played hosts, oblivious to the bomb in my pocket. "Pass the biscuits," Dad said, his voice gruff but familiar.
inside,
I battled. Play it safe. Or unleash the truth. Their past slights replayed, Mom's eye rolls, Dad's comparisons, stoking the embers. Finally, voice steady despite the quake within, I said, "There's something y'all need to hear." The table quieted. Eyes on me. I connected my phone to the speaker, heart in throat. "This is what you've said behind closed doors." Their voices boomed, accusations of failure, regrets, endless favoritism toward David. The room froze, forks clattering. Grandma's face crumpled, tears welling. "Robert, how could you?" Martha's eyes flashed fury. "That's no way to treat your own blood." Tyler leaned forward, voice low and cutting. "You've poisoned the well for years." David's jaw dropped. Coffee's spilling forgotten.
I
knew it was bad. But this? Karen pulled Jake close, her whisper sharp. not in front of the kid. Jake's wide eyes asked silent questions, amplifying the chaos. Dad stammered. That was private, twisted out of context. Mom flushed. We were trying to guide you, Emily, but their defenses crumbled under the family's gaze. Grandma's voice broke through. Raw. Guidance? That's destruction. The outrage swelled. A collective shield around me, isolating my parents in their own storm.
Inside.
Triumph mixed with sorrow. Their shock mirrored my years of pain. But seeing Grandma's heartbreak twisted the knife. Was this victory? Or mutual ruin? Martha's anger turned protective. You've got to own this. Robert and Linda. Tyler's rare passion emerged. Favoritism like that, it rots families from the inside. David met my eyes. Guilt etching his face. I should have stepped in sooner.
I'm sorry.
His words hung heavy. A crack in his armor. Karen nodded subtly, her silence supportive for once. The brunch dissolved into tense murmurs. My parents cornered by their echoes.
I stood firm.
Voice unwavering. I've carried your judgment too long. This ends it. But beneath the drama, a seed of empathy sprouted. They'd built walls from their fears,
just as I'd built mine.
The exposure wasn't pure vengeance, it was a mirror, forcing us all to reflect. As accusations flew, I felt the weight lift slightly, but the inner conflict raged on. Had I healed a wound, or widened it? In the aftermath, silence blanketed the ranch like a dust storm. I drove home, replaying the scene, emotions crashing like waves on red rocks. Their faces, Dad's defiance cracking, Mom's tremble, haunted me. Grandma called later, voice thick. You were brave, but it hurts to see. Her pain echoed mine, deepening the ache. What had I unleashed? Revenge tasted bitter, laced with regret.
I'm Emily Reyes.
And in the days following that explosive brunch, the emotional fallout hit like a monsoon flood in the Arizona Badlands, drowning me in waves of guilt, anger, and unexpected clarity. Alone in my apartment, I curled up on the worn couch, the recording's echoes amplifying my inner turmoil. Was it worth it? I whispered to the empty room, replaying Grandma's tear-streaked face, Martha's blazing eyes, Tyler's uncharacteristic fire. Their support buoyed me. But the cost, the raw betrayal in Dad's gaze. Mom's crumbling facade, gnawed deeper, turning triumph into torment. I'd exposed their cruelty, legal and justified. But had I become the monster in pursuit of justice? Nights stretched endless. My mind a battlefield of conflicting voices. One urged. You stood up, finally free from their chains. Another countered. But at what price? Family's all we got in this vast emptiness. Memories assaulted me. Childhood rides on the ranch. Dad teaching me to rope calves. His pride fleeting but real. Mom's stern lessons masking care born from her own lost dreams. Their favoritism toward David wasn't born of hate, perhaps, but fear, the West's harsh lessons of survival twisting into control. I questioned my motives. Was this payback for years of feeling lesser? Or a desperate cry for understanding? The drama I'd unleashed felt heavier, more personal, as empathy crept in unbidden. David's call shattered the quiet one evening. We need to talk, he said, voice laced with remorse I'd never heard. We met at a dusty diner midway between Tucson and Phoenix, the neon sign flickering like my resolve. He slid into the booth, eyes shadowed. I always knew they were hard on you, but hearing it,
God, I'm sorry you stayed blind. Inside.
Resentment flared, his perfect life, untouched by their barbs, but his admissions softened the edges. "You were their golden boy," I replied, voice cracking. "It hurt, watching you shine while I faded." He nodded, admitting. I leaned into it, too scared to rock the boat. "But you're the brave one." Karen had urged him to reach out, he said, and even Jake asked why Aunt Emmy was sad. Their vulnerability pierced me, turning inner conflict into a reluctant bridge. Back home, Grandma Evelyn's letter arrived, her handwriting shaky but resolute. "Pain like this uncovers truths,
child.
But remember, forgiveness isn't weakness, it's the rain that heals the parched earth." Her words stirred a storm within. Could I forgive without forgetting? Martha dropped by with pie, her hug fierce. "You did right, but now heal." Tyler texted simply, "Family's messy. Hang in." Their gestures amplified the emotional weight, pushing me to confront the humanity in my parents' flaws. Summoning courage, I drove to the ranch under a blazing sunset, heart pounding with dread and hope. Dad was in the barn, mending fences. Ironic, I thought. "We need to hash this out," I said, voice steadier than I felt. He paused, tools clattering. "You ambushed us, Emily." Pain laced his words, but I countered. "Years of your ambushes left scars." Mom joined, eyes red-rimmed. "We thought we were pushing you to thrive, like David." The confession hung heavy, revealing their fears of poverty, failure, the land's unforgiving bite. Inside, empathy battled resentment. They'd projected their insecurities, but that didn't erase the hurt. The conversation turned raw, tears flowing like rare desert rain. "I felt invisible," I admitted, voice breaking. Dad's shoulders slumped. "We were wrong, scared you'd struggle like we did." Mom whispered, "We're proud, in our way, just bad at showing it."
No instant absolution.
But seeds of understanding sprouted. We agreed to boundaries, no more comparisons,
Space to breathe.
As I left, a fragile peace settled, the drama evolving into tentative healing. Yet, the inner war raged on. Driving back, I wrestled. Was this compromise betrayal of my pain, or growth? The exposure had shattered illusions, forcing growth. In Tucson, my work flourished, a contract for local history docs, views climbing on my channel. But success tasted sweeter with lessons learned, family bonds, frayed by expectations, could mend with honesty. Grandma's 80th video, once a weapon, became a touchstone. I shared snippets online, stories of resilience drawing kindred souls. David visited more, our talks deepening beyond surface. Karen and Jake brought light, their innocence a balm. Even my parents called, awkwardly, small steps bridging the gap. The emotional crescendo built. What if forgiveness was the ultimate revenge against bitterness? I pondered alone, realizing the West taught endurance, but hearts taught grace. The pain hadn't vanished, but it transformed, fueling compassion. In exposing the truth, I'd not only claimed my voice but opened doors to redemption. Weeks turned months, the rift narrowing like converging canyon walls. At a quiet family supper, no barbecues yet, tension simmered but didn't boil. Dad asked about my latest project, genuine interest flickering. Mom smiled faintly at Jake's antics, the air less charged.
Inside,
I marveled at the shift, emotions swelling with cautious hope.
I'm Emily Reyes.
And as the Arizona sun dipped lower each day, the emotional torrent from that recording surged higher, flooding my soul with a mix of vindication and profound sorrow that threatened to drown me whole. In the quiet hours before dawn, I'd sit on my porch, staring at the starlit expanse, the weight of what I'd done pressing like the desert's unrelenting heat. "You've torn us apart," echoed in my mind. Not their words, but my own accusation, as images of Grandma's devastated expression haunted me. Her belief in family unity, shattered by my hand. Had I become the villain in my quest for justice? The drama amplified internally. Every heartbeat a clash between righteous anger and creeping remorse. Replaying conversations in my head, doubts multiplied like shadows at twilight. David's apology at the diner had cracked my armor, his admission of complicity stirring unwanted sympathy. We all played roles in this mess. But why did his regret soften my resolve? Karen's quiet outreach, sending photos of Jake with notes like, "He misses his aunt," tugged at heartstrings I'd thought severed. Even Tyler's sparse words, "Healing takes time," resonated deeper. Forcing me to confront, was my pain isolating me from potential mending? Grandma Evelyn's wisdom pierced sharpest. In a follow-up call, her voice quivered. "Anger burns hot, but love endures like the saguaro, slow, steadfast." Her pain mirrored mine, intensifying the guilt. I'd hurt the one who'd always seen me. Martha's visits grew frequent, her pies a pretext for raw talks. "You're human, Emily, flawed like them," she'd say, her eyes holding mine.
Inside.
Storms raged. Flawed? They'd belittled me for years. Yet, her words planted seeds. Perhaps their cruelty stemmed from unhealed wounds. The West's legacy of loss shaping harsh parents. The inner conflict peaked. Revenge had empowered me momentarily, but now it felt like chains, binding me to bitterness. What if letting go was the true liberation? Pushed by this maelstrom, I initiated a family meeting at a neutral park in the foothills. The cacti standing sentinel like silent judges. Nerves electric. I arrived first, heart thundering. David and Karen came with Jake, his innocent laughter a stark contrast to the tension. Tyler nodded arrival, Martha bustling in with resolve. Grandma Evelyn, frail but fierce, held court from a bench. My parents appeared last, faces etched with weariness, Dad's stoop more pronounced. Mom's eyes guarded. "We can't undo the past," I began, voice trembling with the emotional deluge. But that recording, it was my cry against years of feeling worthless. Tears welled as I laid bare the hurt, invisible at barbecues. Measured against David, dismissed as a dreamer. Dad shifted, voice rough. "We were scared. Emily, scared you'd suffer like we did scraping by." Mom added softly, "Our words were weapons, born from love twisted wrong." Their confessions unleashed my sobs, the drama cresting in shared vulnerability. Grandma interjected, tears streaming. "We've all failed each other, time to rebuild." David spoke up, guilt raw. I hid behind success, ignoring your pain. "Let's change that." Karen squeezed his hand, whispering support. Jake's small voice cut through. "Why is everyone sad? Hug it out." His purity lightened the air, drawing choked laughs. Tyler, ever steady, said, "Boundaries now, respect for all paths." Martha nodded fiercely. "No more poison, only growth." The meeting stretched, emotions peaking in waves of accusation and absolution. Inside, I battled. Could I trust this fragility? But as apologies flowed, a cathartic release washed over. The pain not erased but shared, lessening its grip. We parted with tentative plans, counseling, perhaps, to navigate the scars. Driving home, the inner flood receded slightly, replaced by a tentative peace. Forgiveness wasn't forgetting, it was choosing light over endless night. In the ensuing weeks, the emotional intensity built toward resolution. My videos evolved, incorporating themes of reconciliation, drawing viewers who shared similar heartaches. A collaboration with a local storyteller landed, success feeling earned, not defiant. David invited me to Phoenix for Jake's birthday, our talks deepening into true sibling bonds. Grandma's health improved with family visits, her stories now bridges rather than battlegrounds. My parents reached out haltingly, Dad sharing ranch updates, Mom asking about my work without judgment. Small gestures, but they accumulated, turning drama into quiet drama of healing. One evening, alone under the stars, I reflected. The recording had been a catalyst, not destruction. It forced mirrors upon us all, revealing that humanity lay in acknowledging flaws. The lesson settled softly in the vast West, where isolation breeds hardness, vulnerability mends what pride breaks. Pain had deepened me, but grace elevated.
No fairy tale ending.
But a human one, messy, real, hopeful.
I'm Emily Reyes.
And in the final swell of this emotional odyssey, the tides of regret and redemption crashed with such force that they reshaped my very core, leaving me raw, exposed, and ultimately transformed amid the unyielding beauty of the Arizona horizon. Sleepless nights evolved into fevered introspection, where every shadow in my apartment whispered accusations. You've wielded truth like a blade. Now live with the blood. Grandma Evelyn's quivering voice on the phone haunted deepest. Families are oasis in this desert. Don't let anger dry it up. Her pain, amplified by love, mirrored my own amplifying turmoil, turning inner monologues into desperate pleas for clarity. Had my act of exposure, though legal, crossed into unforgivable territory, the conflict peaked in solitary moments, staring at family photos where smiles hid fractures. David's newfound humility, we're in this together now, stirred unwelcome warmth, challenging my armored heart. Karen's gentle inclusion, Jake's unfiltered joy, they humanized the other side, forcing me to question, was holding grudges my true prison? Martha's wisdom cut sharp. Healing ain't linear. Girl, it's a winding canyon trail. Tyler's rare call echoed. You've started the thaw. Don't freeze now. Their words fueled the storm. Empathy battling entrenched hurt. Driven by this crescendo, I proposed individual heart-to-hearts. Starting with my parents at the ranch under a full moon, the coyotes' howls underscoring the drama. Dad met me at the gate. Eyes weary. Emily, we failed you. Our fears blinded us. His admission, raw as scraped knees from childhood falls, unleashed my tears. You made me feel like dust, I confessed. Voice shattering. Mom joined, her embrace tentative. We projected our regrets, unfair, cruel. The revelations poured, their youth marked by ranch losses, pushing them to mold us safe, but strangling my spirit. Inside, waves crashed, forgiveness tempted, but pain resisted, creating a vortex of emotion. With David next, at a quiet trailhead, our hike became metaphor for the journey. I envied your freedom, he admitted mid-stride. While I chased their approval, his vulnerability cracked me open. I resented your ease. Laughter mingled with sobs, bonds reforging in shared truths. Karen and Jake's picnic surprise added lightness. Jake's hug-a-bomb, love you. Aunt Emmy no more sad. Grandma's porch talk sealed it. You've taught us grace, child. Her pride swelled my chest, emotions peaking in cathartic release. The family reconvened at a neutral cabin in the mountains, air thick with anticipation. Accusations gave way to apologies, laughter punctuating tears. Dad's gruff, I'm proud of you. As you are, hit like redemption's dawn. Mom's, let's start fresh, carried weight. Tyler's, we've grown, grounded us. Martha's toasts celebrated resilience. Even Jake's drawings of happy family symbolize hope. In the aftermath, the emotional apex resolved into serene acceptance. My career soared, a series on Western family legacies. Collaborations pouring in. Visits normalized. Boundaries firm but doors open. David's family became allies. Grandma's stories are glue. Reflecting alone. The lesson crystallized gently. In life's dramatic tempests, vengeance yields to understanding, revealing that true strength lies in mending, not breaking. Pain had forged me, but compassion defined me. The West's vastness taught endurance, our hearts. The art of renewal. No perfect closure, but a profound, human evolution where scars become stories of grace.